We go now to chapter 14, which is all about pricing strategies. This chapter aims to explain how price elasticity affects potential demand for a product, compare the primary types of forecasting methods used to determine demand, contrast the three primary competitive pricing strategies, outline three types of pricing tactics used by marketers, explain how price affects consumer perception of quality, and then the chapter summary. How does price affect demand? The concepts learned in Chapter 13 influence how marketers approach the process of setting prices. However, because pricing is such a dynamic and impactful component of the marketing mix, there are a number of other influences and strategies that marketers must consider when making pricing decisions. We'll discuss those in this chapter, starting with an understanding of the relationship between supply and demand. Supply is the amounts of a product that will be offered for sale at different prices during a specified period. Generally, the higher the price, the more the supply. Demand is the amount of a product that consumers will purchase at different prices during a specified time period. As price goes down, demand goes up. Market equilibrium. Suppliers make just enough product and price it in such a way that consumers buy it all. When making pricing decisions, marketers need to be sensitive to supply and demand in a market. Marketers also must be aware of how changes in pricing will affect potential demand for their product. To illustrate, for supply, the higher the price, the more the supply, because producers would want to sell more of the product that would give them more profit. The lower the price, the lower also is the supply, because price has low potential for profit. Looking at this graph, at a price of, for example, a soap at $20, quantity supplied is only 5, but when price increases to 60, quantity supplied also increases to 20. So price has a direct relationship to supply because as the price increases, supply also has the tendency to increase. When price lowers, supply also has the tendency to be lower. Now let's talk about demand. The amounts of a product that consumers will purchase at different prices during a specified time period is referred to as demand. As price goes down, demand goes up because the price becomes more affordable for the buyer. And as price goes up, demand goes down because only a few would be able to afford and therefore would be interested to buy the product. In our graph, at a price of $60, there are only less than 5 interested buyers. At a price of 20, the demand increases up to more than 15. Market equilibrium means that suppliers make just enough product and price it in such a way that consumers buy it all. When making pricing decisions, marketers need to be sensitive to supply and demand in a market. Marketers also must be aware of how changes in pricing will affect potential demand for their product. Elasticity is the measure of the responsiveness of purchasers and suppliers to price changes. Elasticity of demand is the percentage change in the quantity of a product demanded divided by the percentage change in its price. As a result of this equation, when elasticity of demand is greater than 1, that demand is elastic, meaning customers for that product are sensitive to price changes. Even small increases in price can lead to big decreases in demand. For example, candy. There are a lot of types of candy, and there are also a lot of substitutes such that When the price of one candy increases, the buyers have other choices to replace it. So when price of this type of product increases, demand tends to decrease also. When elasticity of demand is less than 1, that demand is inelastic, meaning customers for that product are not as sensitive to price changes. Even if the price of that product increases, demand tends to be the same. For example, gasoline. When price of gasoline increases, buyers would still buy because it is a necessity and demand will not decrease as much. Why is the elasticity of demand high for some products and low for others? One influence is the availability of substitutes or complements. If consumers can easily find close substitute for a product, they are more sensitive to price changes. Demand is more elastic. Demand for luxury goods is more elastic than demand for necessities. Elasticity also depends on what portion of a person's budget is spent on a product. Example, the demand for housing is more sensitive to price changes because it is a large part of a purchaser's budget. Forecasting demand. Forecasts of future demand play major roles in new product decisions, production scheduling, financial planning, inventory planning, and other business considerations. Qualitative forecasting techniques rely on subjective data that reports opinions rather than using statistical data. On the other hand, quantitative forecasting is based on statistical data such as using past sales results to estimate future demand or conducting small tests that can be extrapolated to estimate demand in the larger market. For qualitative methods, we have jury of executive opinion. This technique combines and averages the outlooks of top executives from such areas as marketing, finance, and production. Opinions come from executives in many different departments, and it can be done relatively quick and inexpensive. But the limitations would be that managers may lack background knowledge and experience to make meaningful predictions. The Delphi technique is like the jury of executive opinion. They solicit opinions from several people, but it also gathers inputs from experts outside the firm, such as academic researchers, rather than relying completely on company executives. The limitation is that this is time-consuming and expensive. The Salesforce composite technique develops forecasts based on the belief that organization members closest to the marketplace, meaning those with specialized product or customers and competitive knowledge, offer the best insights concerning short-term future sales. However, inaccurate forecasts may result from low estimates of salespeople concerned about their influence on quotas or target sales volume. The survey of buyer intentions gather input through mail-in questionnaires, online feedbacks, telephone polls, and personal interviews to determine the purchasing intentions of a representative group of current and potential customers. Limitations may occur because intentions to buy may not result in actual purchases. This survey is also time-consuming and expensive. We go now to quantitative methods, which include test marketing, which frequently helps planners assess consumer responses to new product offerings. The procedure typically begins by establishing one or more test markets to gauge consumer responses to a new product under actual marketplace conditions. This provides realistic information on actual purchases rather than on intention to buy. However, this alerts competition to new product plans. This forecasting method is also time-consuming and expensive. Next is trend analysis, which develop forecasts for future sales by analyzing historical sales. It implicitly assumes the collective causes of past sales will continue into the future. When historical sales data is available, planners can quickly and inexpensively complete trend analysis. This, however, may assume that the future will continue from the past and ignores possible changes in marketing environment. So again, let's review. For qualitative forecasting techniques, we have the jury of executive opinion, qualitative forecasting method that assesses the sales expectations of various executives. So department stores ask top buyers of different product lines for their opinions about consumer taste and new brands the store might consider stocking. This is quick and inexpensive, best for short-run forecasting of sales and new product development. Next, we have the Delphi technique. This is qualitative forecasting method that gathers several rounds of feedback from experts inside and outside the firm. Example, if Mattel were working on a new artificial intelligence-enabled Barbie doll, the company might get feedback from a panel of AI experts and child psychologists. To create a forecast, Mattel would then combine this information with opinions it solicited internally. This is, however, time-consuming and expensive. For the sales force composite, qualitative forecasting method based on the combined sales estimates of the firm's salespeople. Management consolidates salespeople's estimates beginning at the district level, then the regional level, then the national level. There are some weaknesses though, which include salespeople are likely to make conservative estimates. Salespeople may not consider the impact on sales of trends developing in other territories or forthcoming technological innovations or major changes in marketing strategies, best used in combination with other techniques. Then we have the survey of buyer intentions. This is qualitative forecasting method that samples opinions among groups of current and potential customers concerning purchasing plans. Buyer intentions do not necessarily translate into purchases. Best used by firms with limited number of customers. This is also time-consuming and expensive. For quantitative forecasting technique, we have test marketing, which helps planners assess consumer responses to new product offerings. Experimenters compare results among different test markets to evaluate the effects of different prices, alternative promotional strategies, or other marketing mix variations. Primary advantage is realism provided for marketers, and this is time-consuming and expensive but may reveal companies' marketing plans to competition. Next quantitative forecasting technique is the trend analysis. This is the quantitative forecasting method that estimates future sales through statistical analysis of historical sales patterns, makes the assumption that future events will continue as in the past, gives reliable forecasts during periods of steady growth and stable demand. If conditions change, however, predictions may be worthless. Now let's discuss pricing objectives. Pricing objectives represent the firm's priorities when setting prices, such as reaching a certain sales volume, directly addressing competition, or communicating prestige. Once objectives are set, pricing strategies can guide marketers more specifically toward the selection of a price. In general, firms can choose from three pricing strategies, namely skimming, penetration, and competitive pricing. Skimming pricing strategies. This is derived from the expression skimming the cream, or skimming pricing strategies are also known as market plus pricing. They involve intentionally setting a relatively high price compared with the prices of competing products. Although some firms continue to use a skimming strategy throughout most stages of the product life cycle, it is more commonly used as a market entry price for distinctive goods or services with little or no initial competition. When the supply begins to exceed demand or when competition catches up, the initial high price is dropped. Example, new cell phone models, example iPhone, they are usually priced high at the time of launching the product, and then as time passes, its price is expected to decrease. A penetration pricing strategy takes the opposite. It sets price it sets a low price as a major marketing weapon. Marketers often price products noticeably lower than competing offerings when they enter new markets that have dozens of competing brands. For example, they may introduce a big discount for the first 100 buyers of their introductory product. This will cause buyers to be interested to buy while price is still low. Once the product achieves some degree of recognition through consumer trial purchases stimulated by its low price, marketers may increase the price to the level of competing products. A penetration pricing strategy is sometimes called market minus pricing, with the premise that a lower than market price will attract buyers and move a brand from an unknown newcomer to at least the brand recognition stage or even the brand preference stage. Competitive pricing strategy. This is organizations know that a price war can hurt everyone in the industry, so their overall objective is to maintain competitive parity. Based on that objective, their specific pricing strategy is to reduce the emphasis on price competition by matching other firms' prices and concentrating their own marketing efforts on the product, the distribution, and the promotion elements of the marketing mix. Once competitors routinely match each other on price, marketers must turn away from price as a marketing strategy, emphasizing other variables to develop areas of distinctive competence and attractive customers. For example, for a clothing store, that might mean offering personalized services such as gift wrapping or custom tailoring. So to review, the skimming pricing strategies involve intentionally setting a relatively high price compared with the prices of competing products. This is also known as the market plus pricing, commonly used as a market entry price for distinctive goods or services with little or no initial competition. When supply begins to exceed demand or competition catches up, the initial high price is then dropped. Penetration pricing strategy involves setting a lower price than competitive offerings in order to stimulate demand and market acceptance. This is also known as market minus pricing. Once the product achieves some recognition, marketers may increase the price to the level of competing products, commonly used by companies like cable and internet providers or retailers to lure shoppers to new stores, or auto manufacturers for their new models. Next, we have competitive pricing strategy. Pricing strategy designed to reduce emphasis on price as a competitive variable by matching competitors' prices and focusing on other ways to differentiate products. This is used by nearly two-thirds of all firms. Example, Home Depot and Lowe's use price matching strategies, assuring customers that it will meet competitors' prices. Let's now talk about pricing tactics. Once a firm has established its overall pricing strategy, it can use specific pricing tactics to support that strategy. So we have three pricing tactics, namely psychological pricing, which makes use of prestige pricing and odd pricing. Next is product line pricing. And the third is promotional pricing, which includes promotional pricing tactics and loss leader tactics. When you say psychological pricing, this refers to the pricing tactic based on the belief that certain prices or price ranges make products more appealing to buyers. Prestige pricing sets a relatively high price to convey an image of quality and exclusiveness, appealing to status-conscious customers. Example, David Yurman Jewelry or Lennox China. Odd pricing sets prices at odd numbers, just under round numbers. For example, they set their price at $9.95 rather than $10. We have product line pricing, which is a pricing tactic where the firm sets a limited number of prices for a selection of merchandise. Example, a clothier offers 3 lines of men's suits, one at $250, a second at $495, and the most expensive at $799. Retailers use this tactic to satisfy shoppers who want different price ranges while maintaining simplicity. Shoppers can concentrate on other product variables such as colors, styles, and materials. Once marketers decide on a price range for a product line, they may have difficulty changing prices or adding products to the line that fall outside the traditional range. Promotional pricing is a pricing tactic in which a lower than normal price is used as a temporary ingredient in a firm's marketing strategy. Customers may get hooked on sales and other promotional pricing events. Loss leaders are pricing tactics where goods are priced below cost to attract customers to stores in hopes that they will buy other merchandise at regular prices. Example, milk at grocery stores are usually priced lower than usual. This is in the hopes that customers will go into their store, buy the milk, and then in the process of doing so, will have a chance to take a look at the other products in the grocery. Price is often an important indicator of a product's quality to prospective purchasers. Many buyers interpret expensive products as high-quality products because prestige is often associated with high price tags. Manufacturers of some status brands go to great lengths to prevent discounting. Science has confirmed just how impactful these perceptions can be. Many buyers interpret expensive products as high-quality products, and then because prestige is often associated with high prices, manufacturers of some status brands go to great lengths to prevent discounting. So, again, perceptions of quality can go beyond high-price prestige items, extending to any product about which customers believe the value they receive was more than the price they paid for. Perception of value also works where low-price brands differentiate themselves by promising a relatively high quality for the money. Although there is a link between price and perception of quality, supply and demand still play a role in purchasing patterns. Consumers often define limits within which their quality perceptions vary directly with price. So, a price below a consumer's lower limit is considered to be too cheap. On the other hand, a price above a consumer's higher limit is also perceived to be too expensive. To summarize, we have talked about elasticity and elasticity of demand. We also talked about the forecasting methods used to determine demand, namely qualitative forecasting and quantitative forecasting. We mentioned the three primary competitive pricing strategies, which are the scheming, penetration, and competitive pricing strategy. We also discussed the three types of pricing tactics, namely psychological pricing, product line pricing, and promotional pricing. Then we also talked about price and perception of quality, wherein marketers believe that a price below a consumer's lower limit is too cheap, but a price above a consumer's higher limit is too expensive. So many buyers interpret expensive products as high quality products. That is the end of chapter 14, Pricing Strategies.